Hello again and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And today I'm going to talk about Neil Young for the first time. And despite the fact that it's his first time on my silly little show here, he is immediately going number one on my list. Which list? I'll tell you momentarily. But before I get to that, I have some business to take care of first. I implore you, subscribe to my channel. And even more than that, watch the video. Put it on and listen to it while you're cleaning the house. Maybe you're ironing or washing the dishes or eating or doing something else that I don't know what I would mimic, but have it on, listen to it, like it. I think that's very important. They say for the YouTube algorithm, that's important. I'm getting to the point where I kind of, to be honest, feel like a little bit like I'm kind of wasting my time on this channel, despite having it for 18 years. I do these videos, I've been doing them for a couple of years now, and the hiking videos, and especially this one, I Want to Talk About This Album, they get like 50 views. I have 11,600 plus subscribers, and I get 50 views. A good episode gets triple digits, gets 100 views. So please, I really am begging to your hardest of hearts, if that's the expression, subscribe to my channel, like it. You can leave a comment, drop a comment down below. You can interact with me. You can do whatever you like. Try to drum up some business for me, please. Hopefully I don't have to do this for very long. I don't know if it's going to continue or not. The begging, not the videos, although that's kind of in question too. We'll see. If you do watch, and if you're a long-time viewer especially, really, thank you. I know there are a few of you that are very loyal. I do truly appreciate it. I don't want to say any names, Mike Pratt, because then I'm going to leave out some other names, Nocivo. But thank you for the few, the proud, and the loyal. Now, Neil Young, you know where he's going to go on my list to number one? Immediately, again, to the loyal viewers, if you've been watching, you know that I have this unofficial list of bands or artists that I used to hate. And you know who they are. It was Bon Scott era, AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix. Who else was on there? I don't know, but Neil Young was maybe at the top of the list of bands or artists or acts that I used to just couldn't stomach them. And now I've really changed my tune. And in this case, really changed it a lot. I talked, I think about a month ago, about the Dead Kennedys and said how much I wish that I were really more into Dead Kennedys. I think Neil Young, maybe even more. Neil Young, maybe more than anybody, the more I listen to him, the more, and it's hard now because he's been around forever and he's got such a vast discography, but the more I think about it, the more I think, man, I really want to be a big Neil Young fan. I want to be a Neil Young buff. I want to know everything about Neil Young, but as I said, it's just too hard now. But when I listen to this album, and here it is, it's everybody knows this is no, usually I don't want to confuse anybody. Usually I hold it over here on my right to end the video. So I'll put it here in the middle to visually indicate that the video is not over. When I've been listening to this, I think, man, Neil Young is fucking awesome. Now I should say one other thing. This is credited as Neil Young and or with Crazy Horse. And I'll ask you, and you can leave a comment down below. When I categorize my music digitally, when it's a band like this, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, Neil Young and Crazy Horse, I don't know who else there is. Do you put the full name of the and the? Because I don't. All the Neil Young digital music that I have on my phone is just Neil Young. There's no Crazy Horse. Bruce Springsteen is just Bruce Springsteen. There's no E Street Band. But this is Neil Young and Crazy Horse, and I don't know anybody in Crazy Horse. I don't know their names. Obviously I've heard their names over the years, but I don't know who they are. So this is Neil Young and Crazy Horse. This album came out in pick a year, 68, 69, 70, around there. I try not to do like a Wikipedia of these albums, these episodes, as I put this down. I've said before, and maybe I should give a reminder, I don't want to be like, to me I do these episodes just as if I were talking about a friend, but it's a one-sided conversation. A monologue, I think they call that. And so I don't want to go on Wikipedia and look everything up and then talk about it. You can do that yourself. But this album came out in 68, 69, 70, around there. And so my history of Neil Young, because it is the first time for me talking about him. Yeah, man, I hated Neil Young. When I was in high school, I talked about this with Led Zeppelin and a little bit of AC/DC and Pink Floyd. Neil Young was for the older kids, the burnouts, he played music that I didn't care about. For people that I wasn't friends with, people that are older with me, I couldn't stand his voice, that warbling voice. And I mentioned that word warble with Dead Kennedys, Jello Biafra, when I did that episode a month or so ago. And that high, that falsetto that he uses, I just didn't like his voice, didn't like his songs. To me, he was like burnout, stoner music, old, hippie, stuff like that. Hated everything about him. Now, I did see him once, and here it is. I thought I lost my prop. There's my ticket stub for the one and only time I saw Neil Young. This is August 18th, 1993. Now, if you notice there, it says with Pearl Jam, and that is why I went. In 1993, I was all about Pearl Jam. Soundgarden also played this show. I guess they didn't warrant being on the ticket stub, but Soundgarden played the show, as well as Blues Traveler. Didn't care about Blues Traveler at all, but I thought, man, Pearl Jam and Soundgarden on the same bill. I'm going. I don't care if it's Neil Young or not. I need to see Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. I had seen Pearl Jam 2 years before. I saw them in October '91, and I think that was it. Soundgarden I'd seen the year before in '92. And Blues Traveler, like I said, didn't care about. So I went to see this and didn't care about Neil Young. Now this is you can see this is at the CNE Stadium, not to be confused with the CNE Grandstand, where I saw Ozzy a couple of times, Scorpions, I don't know who else I saw there, which was kind of like this is in Toronto, I'm talking about. That was kind of like the stage, and then there was a grandstand like this. This was the CNE Stadium, which was the full stadium where the Blue Jays used to play before they moved to Skydome, which is now Rogers Center. They moved there in 1989. And what a terrible stadium this was, CNE Stadium. But this was a big time, and I remember Pearl Jam, when Pearl Jam played. This is in August '93. This was a month or two before Versus came out, and they played, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 songs from Versus before it came out. And that's what I used to love about Pearl Jam, that they said, fuck you, we have an album coming up, it's not even out, we're not really officially touring behind it, and we're going to play half our set, maybe not half the set, but 3 or 4 songs from it, and you're going to like it. And I did. They opened with either Go or Animal, I don't remember which, probably Go. And I just remember a flood of people especially from the third base line, because the stage faced that way. The stage was parallel to the third base line, which would be perpendicular, I guess, to the first base line. And man, when Pearl Jam started playing, immediately everybody just started rushing down onto the floor, which was the infield, and I guess the outfield a little bit on that third base, or the left field side. Man, Pearl Jam was great. And I don't want to turn this into a Pearl Jam episode, but I would love to turn it into a Pearl Jam episode, because Pearl Jam is arguably my favorite band. But I was just dying to see Pearl Jam and loved it. Stupidly, and I really regret this now. You don't really regret too many things that you do. You maybe have a tendency to regret things you didn't do. I left. I didn't watch Neil Young. I was too cool. I have no idea if it was one song or all of the songs except the last one, but I definitely left early before Neil Young finished. I want to say maybe I watched 4 or 5, maybe 6 songs, I don't know. But honestly, I guess I was too cool. I was 23 at the time, and I was just too cool to watch this old fuck Neil Young. I want to see Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and get the fuck out of there, to prove to nobody in particular that I was too cool for this ragged old Neil Young guy. Stupid. I should have stayed. But that's my Neil Young history. Now, I did try later. I did buy, actually I should say the year before in '92, I bought Harvest Moon. That album came out in '92. And man, I love that album. That was really, I guess, where I kind of realized I was going wrong with Neil Young. I have no idea why I bought Harvest Moon, because to that point in '92, I had never bought anything by Neil Young. I don't know if there was something, and that's a great album. That was Harvest Moon, the title track, and You and Me from Hank to Hendrix, Old King. What else was on there? Unknown Legend. That was a fantastic album. I think maybe that was why I left. Now that I think about it, why I left early. I think he wasn't playing anything from Harvest Moon at this show in '93. But I really did love Harvest Moon. But I knew all his hits before that. Old Man and Like a Hurricane and Hey Hey My and Needle and the Damage Done. Didn't like them. Love all of those songs now. I did also buy, going back a little bit to Pearl Jam, I bought Neil Young without Crazy Horse, did an album in '95 called Mirror Ball with Pearl Jam as his backing band. Again, no Crazy Horse. So Pearl Jam was the band. I think it was just billed as a Neil Young album, but it was not a secret that Pearl Jam was the band playing the music. And at that time also, I was a little bit starting to have a little bit of a falling out with Pearl Jam. They had done Vitalogy the year before, which I was not nearly as big a fan of as I was with Versus and 10. And then the year after, '96, was No Code, which I didn't realize at the time because I wasn't that familiar with Neil Young, but I realize now No Code was essentially, like a real ode or a homage to Neil Young. That really has a lot of Neil Young influence on that No Code. But so I did buy Mirror Ball, Neil Young with Pearl Jam as his backing band. Never got into it, which I need to rectify that or maybe even remedy that. And I did maybe in the late '90s or early 2000s, I don't know, whenever, probably late '90s. I bought his Greatest Hits album. I think it was just called Greatest Hits. I know he had one called Decade, and there was another. This is the one where he's just sitting cross-legged with an acoustic guitar, an old picture. And I loved it. That introduced me to a few of the songs here on Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. So I got Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. I got this quite some time ago, maybe at the end of 2023. And I haven't listened to the actual record yet, but I mentioned before, whenever I bought a record, I always, if I didn't already have it on my phone, I downloaded it, and this was one. I listened to this quite a few times, enough that I don't need notes. I didn't have to write notes for it, which is pretty amazing that I'm that big of a Neil Young fan that I can get through or try to get through. I might stumble. I don't think I'll fall, but I might stumble. I don't think I need notes. We'll see. But I think I'm ready to get to the. I feel like did I lose my train of thought there? I'll get to the track by track now. Oh, and I was gonna say I very, very important. I fucking love this album. This is such a great album, which is why I feel like I need to go back and listen to Harvest and Rust or Rust Never Sleeps, and maybe even some Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and I don't know what. I know he had Trans and Weld and some weird albums, Ragged Glory. But I think this era of Neil Young, the late 60s to early 70s, a lot of acoustic, but some electric too. And I have to say also, this is one of the great, and I'll maybe talk about this more. Oh, I'll hold it on this side so there's no confusion. The episode is ending. This is like, seriously, is this one of the great guitar albums ever? The 17-year-old Dan Bowski would be ashamed to hear the 54-year-old Dan Bowski sang that, because I was all about Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen and Ace Frehley, and a little bit later Dimebag, and I was a metal guy, and to think now that I'm saying that this is one of the greatest guitar albums ever, I never would have guessed that, but it really is. There's just amazing guitar in here. I was so wrong about Neil Young. All right, so I'll get through this now. Despite all that, I guess I don't have too much to say about the record. There's only 7 songs on it. Only 7 songs, yeah, but it is a full-length album. It doesn't feel like an EP. It's, I guess, in the 40-minute range, high 30s, low 40s. I'm not talking about the temperature in Fahrenheit. I'm talking about the time range on it. So this is, I don't know what to expect here. It is a gatefold, but not a double album. And I have mixed feelings about gatefolds. It's kind of cool. It's nice it's kind of a throwback or nostalgic to, listen to a record and have the gatefold open there. But also it takes up more room in your collection. It takes up almost twice as much room. No hype sticker on this, so I can be careless. And you can have the first view before I do of the what's in there. Anything? All right, a little collage of photos. I don't know. Okay, so there's lyrics just to Cowgirl in the Sand. Hello, cowgirl in the sand. Let's see. I bet there's nothing inside. Yeah, just the plain white sleeve, black vinyl. There's the label. This came out on Neil Young's. I guess he started putting records out. I don't know when, but this is on. It's called NYA, which is Neil Young Archives. And then ORS, which is official release series, I think. So this is, I guess it's going to sound good. I don't know. You know, despite the fact that this is music, I don't really care too much about that. I don't know if I can tell the difference between one. Sometimes it's very obvious, but I watch these videos of people saying that the 1978 pressing is so much better than the 1981 pressing, and this is difficult to get back in. I can tell a difference between a remaster in some cases. God, why did they make these so? I'm gonna leave the actual record out for now and just use the sleeve. Are we good? All right. So the first song is Cinnamon Girl. Oh my God, this is one that was on the radio all the time, and I never cared about it for years and years, decades. Now that I've been away from the radio, I haven't really listened to the radio in 18 years since I've lived in Mexico. Cinnamon Girl is one of 2 songs on this record that is, maybe even one of 3 songs on this record, that is an obsession. That song, it's just, and it's short. It's only around 3 minutes. It's exactly 3 minutes. So it's easy and it really invites repeat listens. It's over, and then you can listen to it right again, and you haven't lost anything in your day. You can still be productive in your day. But that riff, that sounds terrible. But you know what it is. I want to live with a cinnamon girl. I could be happy the rest of my life with the cinnamon girl. Loved it, and I love the ending of it. It's got that kind of a weird, like a coda, like a tag at the end of it, kind of a little riff. Fantastic. It's got some hand claps. It's got wailing guitar, and there's a guy, or maybe even, who was it? Yeah, it was the solo. There's a band from Canada, a Canadian band called Coney Hatch, and the singer, they had 2 singers. I guess it was the main guy. His name was Andy Curran. He had, I guess, a little bit of solo career after Coney Hatch, and he did a cover of Cinnamon Girl that I loved. I think that was in maybe 94, 95, 96, somewhere around the mid-90s. I love that. And that kind of got me into the Neil Young version. But man, Cinnamon Girl is just a fucking incredible song. Love it. Next is Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. And by the way, I'd never listened to this full record until I got it, as I said, late last year, or around this time last year, whenever it was. And I guess 4 of the 7 songs I'd never heard before, including this second one, Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, the title track. I think I want to go back home and take it easy. What a delight this song is. It's very, and again, my 17-year-old would be very disappointed in myself saying this now. It's got almost like a country feel to it, and it's got kind of a twang to it. Also great guitar in it. It's catchy. It's short. It's to the point. It's just an incredible song. Love Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. And also short. Only the running times are here. 2:29. Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere is. Can't get enough. Next is, now, one small problem with this album. There are 3 out of 7 songs are parenthetically, if that's a word, they're subtitled with parentheses. And again, the loyal viewers, you know how much I hate that. This is the first one. It's called Round and Round. And then the parenthetical, am I making up words? The parentheses is, it won't be long. This is stupid. Just call the song Round and Round and drop it. Be done with it. Or call it It Won't Be Long. Make up your mind. It's like the people that get, they get a pizza and they get half pepperoni, half Hawaiian, or half supreme and half vegetarian or something. just get a pizza with everything on it at once. Don't be so wishy-washy and indecisive. I say the same thing to you, Neil Young. Call your song either Round and Round or call it It Won't Be Long. Despite that, this is again, I keep saying it, it's such a fantastic song. This has, it's not a duet. What's if there's two people singing, it's duet. What if there's three people singing? What is that called? I don't know if there's a word for it, but whatever it is, that's what this song is. I guess Neil Young is a little bit of the dominant one. And there are two much more noticeable with headphones, which is how I listen to most of my music. I guess female singers, they sound like, to me, they sound like women singers. Now, I know a woman named Nicolette Larson sang at least a duet called You and Me. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. That was on Harvest Moon. I don't know if it's her. I don't know if it was his wife, Peggy. I don't even know if they were married. I guess they were married back then. I have no idea. But I hear two females singing along with Neil Young. They're all singing the same thing, but all at the same time. And it just sounds fabulous. I love Round and Round. Parentheses, It Won't Be Long. Next is Down by the River. Oh, I gotta put this down to collect my thoughts here. This is maybe my favorite song of the last 10, 12, 6 years, no, more than 6, maybe 10 or 12 years. I know this song is like 55 or something years old, and I heard it a long time ago because I did have the Neil Young Greatest Hits in the late 90s and it was on there. But I don't know what happened with this song, but sometimes you hear something once and you don't really pay attention to it. You hear it again and you love it. You could apply that to food too. I tried tea years ago, I hated it, and then I tried tea decades and decades later, just a couple of months ago in Istanbul, Turkey, and I liked it. Sometimes you just need the right surroundings or the right situation, or maybe something in your life has changed. But this song, I never disliked it, but to me it was just another song. Now this is, like I said, I don't know if there's too many songs in the last 10 years that I've listened to more than Down by the River. This has got to be, forget about Van Halen Eruption or whatever shred song or metal song don't forget about them. You can continue to listen to those. But man, this is a lesson in guitar mastery. This song has just got, it's like 9 minutes of incredible guitar. And I'm not sure if the guitar the song and the guitar, I'm not sure if they're really, really simple or if they're very, very complex. As I said, this is a 9-minute song. And I think maybe the reason why I didn't pay too much attention to it back then is because it's 9 minutes. And probably about 5 or 6 minutes of those, it's just kind of like a jam in the middle. It's a long solo. And back then, I guess in the late 90s, I just wasn't into that. Now I'm more into it. And there are two songs that this reminds me of. One, at least the solo is the live version, especially of 100,000 Years by Kiss on a live, just because it's got this just amazing, again, this simple but so amazing solo in Down by the River. It's just this one note, but it just sounds so, it just fits the groove of the song. The tone of the guitar is amazing. And in 100,000 Years, it's also the one note. It's this is hard to sing, this one. So just that's the only similarity. And also they're both long songs. I think 100,000 Years is also 9 or 10 minutes. The other one that it reminds me of, and I know this is in kind of reverse order, is I talked maybe 4 months ago, I don't know, about Temple of the Dog, their one and only album. And the second song on the album is called Reach Down. And this was another one that when I listened to it for years and years and years, I thought, okay, good song. And then something happened in more recent years. Again, it's become just one of my favorites and one of the songs that I listen to the most. And it's long, it's jammy. Same, I'm talking about both Reach Down and Down by the River. They're both long, both jammy. And I feel like, kind of knowing how Neil Young is, and I really don't know anything about him, He should have opened the album with this song. He should have said, fuck you, I'm going to open this album with a 9-minute song. I think that would have been great. But yeah, this song, man, it's just, and I feel like this is another one going back to what I said about, God, this is long, about it being both or either complex or simple. It sounds like, and I think the album in general sounds like it was just done all in one take. And I talked about that with the first Cadaver album and Temple of the Dog and Badlands. I think Voodoo Highway said that out, that just feel very, very natural. Now, I feel like when they do this live, and I've never heard a live version of it, which I should, is there, you can leave a comment down below if there are any Neil Young fans. And we're about probably 20 or 25 minutes into this video. I think people just watched the first minute and the last minute, so I don't know if anybody's watching now except for Mike Pratt. Is there a definitive live version of Down by the River that I should be listening to? If there is, please let me know what it is and I will seek it immediately. But I feel like maybe when they did this song live, it was probably never the same twice, just because it was so loose and kind of jammy, and I'm sure it kept the structure all the time, but probably I have a feeling that this song changed every time they play it. So Cowgirl in the, sorry, not Cowgirl in the Sun, I'm getting ahead of myself, that's the last song. Down by the River is just one of the great rock songs. Man, oh man, that song fucking rules. Yes, Down by the River. So that was side one. Side two is just 3 songs here. Another of the parentheses, this is the worst one. This is so stupid. It's called The Losing End. And then the parentheses is When You're On. Isn't that stupid? So it's like When You're On the Losing End. Call it, again, just call it The Losing End or When You're On. Although When You're On, that's a stupid title too, because that's just when you're on what? There needs to be some object or object pronoun. So just call it The Losing End. Or if you have more time, call it When You're On the Losing End. I really like this song too. Not sure what to say about it, but I do love The Losing End. Again, it's kind of an acoustic, kind of a mellow song, kind of it's catchy, good song. Next is Running Dry, parentheses, Requiem for the Rockets, which is, now this is not bad. When it comes to parentheses, this is not that bad. It's like the Tragically Hip, they have a song. The first song on Fully Completely is called Courage, and then in parentheses, it's for Hugh McLennan, like a dedication. So this is Running Dry, and then parentheses, Requiem for the Rockets. I don't know who or what the Rockets is or are, but it is a requiem for them or it. This song, it's pretty good too. This one didn't catch, it's I guess my least favorite on this album. It's kind of dirgy sounding. It's a little bit down compared to the rest. Well, compared to Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. I don't know, The Losing End is kind of more happy sounding. But this has kind of a little bit of a mournful or maybe a morose violin through it. And this song's okay. I don't dislike it, but it was definitely my least favorite. The last song is Cowgirl in the Sand. Now this is essentially kind of like a bookend, although maybe this is why I think that Down by the River could have been the first song and Cowgirl in the Sand the last one. They're essentially, and I don't mean this in a bad way, they're essentially the same song. Let me see the length. They're both around 9 or 10. Down by the River is 9:18. Cowgirl in the Sand is 10:06. So almost the same length. And they have kind of a similar structure. They're both, well, obviously they're both long. They're kind of jammy, especially in the middle section. I love the kind of little mini intro of Cowgirl in the Sand. And they have kind of the same vibe, the same spirit to it, the same feel, Down by the River and Cowgirl in the Sand. For whatever reason, I don't like this nearly as much as Down by the River. There are not too many songs that I could say that I like as much as Down by the River. But Cowgirl in the Sand, which was also on Neil Young's Greatest Hits, which I mentioned that I had, so I was familiar with that one, and I think Cowgirl in the Sand is also a great song. And also wailing guitar through again, there's another, comparison or parallel to it being similar to Down by the River. Just amazing guitar throughout. Now something I should mention, speaking of guitar, I had this in my head to mention it. I didn't realize until I heard this album, and I guess earlier over the years, in more recent years with listening to Down by the River, how much I feel like Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I talked about them a few episodes ago, not in their recent album, but their recent albums, but especially in Blood Sugar Sex Magic, which is one of my favorite albums ever. I really, really, really hear a lot of Neil Young influence in Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't know if it was influence, because I know they covered The Needle and the Damage Done. Red Hot Chili Peppers did that live. I think Flea used to do it live, and maybe still does. But there's so much on this record, including in the chorus, getting to the chorus of Down by the River. Ooh la 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 la. That sounds like something Red Hot Chili Peppers would sing. She could take me over the rainbow. Ooh la 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 la. Really, really sounds like Red Hot Chili Peppers. And then there's another song that has la 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 la. I think I better go back. Everybody knows this is nowhere. Everybody knows this is nowhere. La 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 la. Really sounds like Red Hot Chili Peppers. And also in terms of guitar, the tone, the playing, everything on a lot of songs, for sure. Down by the River, Cowgirl in the Sand, maybe Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, really, really, really brings John Frusciante to mind. John Frusciante, I think, is fantastic, one of my favorite guitarists, although I've never once heard him mention Neil Young as an influence. Whether he was or not, I don't know, but I forgot to mention that. Red Hot Chili Peppers parallel with Neil Young, at least with this album. I'm not sure about the other Neil Young albums. So that is all. I filled up quite a long time with Neil Young. Surprising, man. Oh man, this album is really, really good. I really. What else do I need? I know all the hits. So you don't recommend those, but what's Neil Young's? Everybody's gonna say Harvest, I guess, but am I missing? Does he have any dark horse, not crazy horse, but dark horse albums that I need to know about? I feel like I want to get into his 70s stuff. If you're a big Neil Young fan, please let me know. And don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and all that. But that is all for this. And I'm so late to the party, just like with Pink Floyd, The Wall, and Jimi Hendrix already experienced. And the Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed. All these records that I didn't care about when I was a teenager. I love a lot of them. I especially, of all those ones, I think I like this one the most. Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed was pretty good too. But anyway, so there is Neil Young. I talked about Neil Young. I can't believe it. This is Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere.